15-point lead, but still, at least they were in the game. The crowd was into the game, and that goes a long way with this front office.
Stephen, I know the Knicks are 3-10, but from my standpoint, R.J. Barrett has been extremely solid as a rookie. You've seen him up close and pretty much every day. Can you just expand on how well he's played so far as a rookie?
Yeah, you know what? Two things have been very impressive for me. One is his physicality. And when you get a 19-year-old kid, you don't expect that right away. A lot of these guys come into the league against grown men and they're being overwhelmed. That's not him. I mean, he gets to the rim, he will fight through the contact, and he will make the bucket, and he'll get fouled. Now, his foul shooting needs to improve. But it's very impressive what he's been doing physically, and I think his defense has been pretty good, solid as well. Now, you heard some issues about that coming out of Duke, but I mean, his effort has been there defensively, and I can see him being a good defender in this league for a long time. But to take the next step, he's got to hit that jumper more consistently.
Big questions entering the season. Coach Visdale talked about how he was going to allow his point guards to kind of play it out to see who was going to get the nod for the most amount of minutes. Obviously, Elfrid Payton probably has the best numbers among the three, but is there a standout right now, or has Fizdale discussed that point guard position? Yeah,
well, Elfrid Payton's been out for a while with the groin strain, but he had the starting position while he was healthy. But since then, Dennis Smith Jr. has really struggled. He had a death in the family that kept him away from the team, and it became Frank Ntilikina's job for a while, and that's where we are right now. Now, what Frank brings, he's the best perimeter defender on the team. It's really not close. But offensively, he really needs to step up. I mean, it's not just that he's not scoring or he's not distributing or doesn't have enough assists. He's not aggressive enough. And the Knicks have been hammering home, hey, if you're going to be our point guard, you have to be aggressive. You have to make plays. And we've seen some improvement in that area from Frank Ntilikina. And if that continues, I think he will hold the starting job. But when Elfrid Payton does come back from his injury, obviously I think he's going to get the nod. We'll see. I don't know how that's going to play out when Elfrid comes back, actually.
Thank you, Stephen Bondy, for joining us here on the warm-up. We appreciate it, and you're welcome back anytime.
Yep.
Hey there, welcome to the warm-up presented by Ford. I'm Stephanie Reddy here tonight with NBA champion Steve Smith, in case you didn't recognize him with the glasses on, and #1 pick MVP and WNBA champion Candace Parker. Let's get to it.
Let's go.
We have so much in store for you guys this
I'm not
evening.
putting them yellow frames on my face.
These two.
1970s.
9 games in the NBA this evening. One right here on the NBA TV's airwaves. Starting off with this look, Paul George. Remember him? Well, he's been spectacular. First 2 games, he's averaging 35 points in only 22 minutes of play, shooting well over 50% from behind the arc. Speaking of shooting a lot, James Harden, the Beard, is going to lead his team to what they hope will be their 8th straight victory right here on NBA TV.
How many field goals is he shooting? All the shots.
All of them.
He should. Keep shooting, James. You're doing your thing.
All of them.
Well, here's a closer look. Last 7 games, they happen to all be victories for the Houston Rockets. Look what he's doing, you guys. These are not typos. 43 points, 45% from the field, 41% from behind the arc. And those last 3 numbers, nobody really looks at these when you talk about James Harden and his production, but 8 assists, 7 boards, over 2 steals. Impressions?
He's been remarkable. I mean, for me to see a player take on that much, the endurance he has to put in. I mean, he's shooting close to 26 shots, close to, I think, 15 free throws, and his three-point numbers are up. And he's basically taking on 1-on-5, and they're still winning. One thing is, if you shoot a lot and score a lot, people say a lot, but he's still winning, Candace. That's what I love about it.
And I will say, I love this for the regular season,
yes.
Smitty.
Yes.
For the regular season, he is unstoppable. And last year, he was my pick for MVP, just in the sense of the fact that his team was 10th in the West last year, with everybody hurt. Eric Gordon was hurt, Chris Paul was hurt, Clint Capella was hurt, and James Harden stepped up.
Tony was hurt.
Yeah.
No, I'm just playing.
And everybody stepped up.
Yes.
Or he stepped up and made everybody around him better. And they won with him shooting this volume of shots. Excuse me, I can't speak today, Smitty. But I will say his usage rate is high. And that's the thing that I worry about with regular season, yes, regular season MVP. But he wants to win a championship. And so I think they're going to have to figure out a different way to do that because ISOs aren't as high in the playoffs.
So where does this rank for you all? I mean, it seems like every single NBA season we keep seeing a historic run, right? Westbrook with averaging a triple-double, Harden with his scoring prowess. Where does this rank with you guys? I know it's early in the season, but he's been pretty spectacular so far.
Well, to me, I think, sometimes you look at the assists, but it's when you get assists, and they have so much usage rate. I just think, for me, Candace, both those guys, I would love to even see James Harden playing more out of the post sometime, just because he can see double teams. And I love if they double James, which you probably will. Ball is swung to Russell Westbrook, then he's attacked. I would just love to see them in the playoffs, like Candace say, change up the style. And then also for me is everything should be defense. All their talk should be defense. One thing they've done in this 7-game win streak, they've holding opponents on 103 points. That's what I want to see. And they have the capability with these guys, with these athleticism, and should be high basketball IQ to defend.
Well, I agree with you because there's not many people that are going to stop them in transition. And so if you are able to get defensive stops, then they're going to score on the other end with the amount of shots they're getting up. But my thing is Russell Westbrook was injured last year, and he did not shoot the ball well. Yeah. I do believe that these numbers are more of a representation of who Russell Westbrook is. I mean, shooting 43% for him, I think it's great. But I also think D'Antoni is going to have to balance the amount of games that they play and the amount of minutes that they play together so they can get used to playing with each other in the playoffs.
So we showed Westbrook there. Everyone knows what he's capable of. We know that he plays with such fierce, almost recklessness, right? What can we expect from the two of them together? I mean, we all know defense is a necessity. With their athleticism, shouldn't they be a better defensive team?
They should. And I think that both those guys got to lead the pack. And then they have Clint Capella as a guy who can play pick and rolls. Candace, he can switch on pick and rolls. He can protect at the rim. So you have those three guys. Yeah. And then you throw in P.J. Tucker. They should, with those four, have a pretty good defensive team, being able to playoffs, to be able to guard some of these top-notch teams, to be able to win. It all has to be defense for me. All has to be the way they play the game at the end of the game in the playoffs.
But what a luxury to have, to be able to sometimes when your defense is not acting the way that it should, to be able to outscore teams. And I think as long as in the regular season you're honing in on your defensive rotations and you're figuring it out, in the playoffs, if you can outscore people, I mean, we saw with Golden State last year, it's an advantage to have because this is a scoring league.
All right, so we have to mention this because we're talking about the Rockets and who they're playing. Let's talk a little bit about the Portland Trailblazers and someone who may not be eligible to play tonight yet, but Carmelo Anthony will be joining the fray.
Finally.
Glad he's back.
Man.
We're all excited that he's back.
I'm excited.
So what is he going to bring to the table? I know it's hard to speculate because we have not seen him out on the court.
Candace, everybody goes, Carmelo is a ball stopper. Carmelo, isolation. Well, I'm watching pretty much every superstar is a ball stopper, isolation. I think for him actually CJ and Dame need somebody else to draw some double teams. I don't know if Carmelo can do it at the clip he did it 3 or 4 years ago, but I think at times he can get 13, 15, and in some nights 20 points. But just having him out there gives them another threat to keep the defense not loaded up on them.
Well, when the Houston Rockets were struggling last year, Carmelo had a stretch of games where he was scoring 20, where he was putting up numbers and actually shooting the ball at a pretty good rate. And my thing, Portland is struggling right now. They are not doing well. I think they're 11th in the West. They're on a 6-game road trip. They're going to be playing on the road, and they're struggling. So I think it's a part now where they both need each other. I think this is going to be a win-win situation. Melo's going to be able to operate at the elbow. They are second in volume isolations, and so that's perfect for Melo. But they definitely are going to have to start creating for each other.
Yep.
And Dame has to draw and be able to dish to somebody with confidence that can knock down the shot.
That's a good point. Portland starting out 5-8, a little disappointing compared to where they ended the season last year. And you look at Dame and CJ together, we know that they are a high-scoring backcourt. I think you guys bring up a good point with Carmelo. Because we know what he can do, I feel like his pedigree allows him to be able to fit into whatever piece they need him to be. He is an all-star. He is an all-NBA caliber player when he was at his peak. Why wouldn't he be able to come in and just give them whatever that is? If it's off the elbow, if it's someone who can post up more, to bring some attention to the defense?
You know, I like him at the 4 a lot with this unit. You know, having him, Rodney Hood, and also Whiteside, that gives them some spacing. You know, both Hood and Carmelo can stand at the line, a high pick and roll with Whiteside. You got to collapse, and you give Rodney Hood and Carmelo some easy shots. And I think Carmelo's strong enough and big enough. The league is not where it used to be, Candace. I don't think there's any dominant fours that just can dominate Carmelo. So I'm going to love to seeing him at the 4 spot a lot with this group.
Yeah, and I think off the bench. I mean, you look at the pieces that the Blazers have lost just this season to injury and then also just in free agency. How many of their critical pieces have been lost? And a lot of them at that 4 position. And so I think Melo coming off the bench, you know, not starting games, but hopefully finishing a lot of games, will give them an extra score because, I mean, if you can put the ball in the basket, it doesn't matter what's happening on the other end. You can cover that up with team defense.
All right, well, speaking of Carmelo Anthony, he could be making his debut right here on NBA TV. You look ahead Tuesday night, that's tomorrow. Blazers, Pelicans, 8 p.m. Eastern, followed up by Thunder, Lakers at 10:30. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with Game Time on NBA TV. And if by chance Melo does not make his debut then, I have it on good authority that he might make it on Thursday. So either way, you're covered with your Melo watch. Thursday on TNT, Trailblazers, Bucks at 8 p.m. Eastern, Pelicans, Suns, 10:30 Eastern. Coverage starts with the warm-up at 6 p.m. right here on NBA TV. It's my favorite part of the show, guys. Ask the Analyst. It's coming up later in the show tonight. If you have questions, we have answers. Drop your questions for Steve Smith or Candace Parker, and they'll answer it right here on the warm-up on NBA TV.
Where are your glasses, Smitty?
Oh, they didn't want me to take them in there.
They didn't want you to-
I got them right here.
Okay.
He's got you covered with all sorts of glasses. Marc Gasol. Did we forget about him? How could you? Plays for the Toronto Raptors. We've got a live report from Toronto coming up on the other side of this break. The warm-up continues.